Let me begin with my first guest. My first guest is a remarkable person. She's got a first-class honours from the prestigious King's College in London, and she's leapfrogging straight into a DPhil at Oxford University, no less. Now, that is remarkable. It is something that we would hopefully flag up as being a sense of pride for our community, and we're grateful to her for taking her valuable time out for joining us today. Allow me to introduce you to her. Her name is Shuchishmita Maitra Auhona. Auhona, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be on the show.
The pleasure is entirely ours. And first of all, congratulations on a first-class honours degree from King's College. I mean, that's no mean feat. It was great. How was your experience at King's?
First of all, King's is an amazing university. As we know, it's a Russell Group university, and it provided me with basically a foundation with which I'm now stepping into a new journey at Oxford. And I think I owe the world to King's for giving me the most prestigious opportunities, whether it's becoming a research fellow, whether it's my first class degree. King's has shaped me in a way that is beyond belief, and I owe every bit of the success today to King's.
You must be excited about Oxford, though.
Obviously, I am excited about Oxford. Oxford is a brand new journey, and I'm going into a much, I guess, tougher journey as well, in the sense that I'm going into a PhD, and I'm quite young, actually. I just turned 21 last week. So going into a journey at a very young age, it is, you know, it's a bit terrifying to see that I'm the youngest there in my batch at Oxford, currently undertaking this PhD in medical sciences. But I know that King's, for example, has prepared me in a way where I'm ready to tackle any kind of research obstacle that comes through.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because you've taken an unorthodox route. Most people, that's probably why you're the youngest there, most people would have a master's before they go on to that. But as I was saying earlier on, you've leapfrogged that. How did you do that, and what was the process?
First of all, the process is rather difficult because, as you know, usually you need a master's to then step into a PhD, which is the conventional route to going into a PhD. In fact, my father himself, he did his master's and then went into a PhD. So the conventional route is as such, but to leapfrog and just go straight into a PhD, it requires a lot beyond your degree. So I studied biomedical engineering at King's. I came out with a first-class degree, and that degree kind of helped me, first of all, have an intersection between engineering and medicine. So it allowed me to not only focus in engineering, providing innovative solutions for new things, but also venture into the medical side, recognize that, okay, these are the current issues in this world at the moment, these are the clinical needs, and this is how I can combat them using my knowledge as an engineer. And King's provided me that foundation within my degree to go into medicine, which is why I'm now pursuing a PhD at Oxford in medical sciences. So I ventured into, let's say, less engineering, more hands-on wet lab work, but that kind of provided me the foundation to step into at least that medical field. And to go into a PhD without a master's, I needed something extra. So my third year bachelor's in engineering project was based upon cardiac fibrosis. And in the interview I had at Oxford, they saw it, I wrote bachelor's in engineering project, but they asked me, isn't this a master's thesis? And I looked at them and I said, unfortunately, no, I did just go above and beyond in my research project. So the interview at Oxford was probably the toughest interview I've ever sat. And they did kind of pick up very technicalities. They looked at me and said, this seems like a master's thesis, but we will try, nitpick all the bits and bobs in there. It was pure technicalities. They went firing question after question after question. I came well prepared. I was able to tackle questions which were beyond that kind of scope of cardiac fibrosis, where they wanted me to incorporate other things. So I managed that. And one thing that really helped me was the fact that I'm currently a research fellow at the Centre for Doctoral Training at King's and Imperial, which is like an intersection of engineering and medicine. And I work in smart medical imaging. And that allowed me to bring in some more research experience, which goes beyond anything what anyone may have done within their bachelor's degree. So by having that extra experience coupled with, I guess, the research experience that I've done at King's, it provided me enough information to sit in front of those examiners and say, yes, I know what's going on here.
That's great. And obviously, it's a huge undertaking to actually go through that particular process, because as part of that process, it seems, from what I'm hearing, it's rather daunting. I mean, I was not as lucky enough to go to a university such as that, but it seems extremely daunting. What advice would you give to our viewers out there, the younger ones, who perhaps aspire to that, but sometimes feel that maybe I'm not good enough, or maybe it's going to be too tough? I appreciate that you're exceptional, but what kind of advice would you give them?
First of all, you are never not good enough. I don't think that's ever a saying. I thought I wasn't good enough for Oxford. I thought, I'm just a mere King's student. Why would Oxford take me? Now, the interesting thing here is that when I was very, very, very young, I had a dream where I want to do research at Oxford within medicine. And my theme was always, always, always cardiology. Like, it was just something I had as an inspiration just from day one. As a kid, I would say, yes, I'm going to go to Oxford. I'm going to study some research within medicine, and it's going to be cardiology focused. Now, surprisingly, that dream came true, and that's all because of perseverance. Everything I did, whether it was, first of all, stepping into a bachelor's degree, giving it my all there and then giving it my all within the interviews itself. I had to prepare day and night. There were sleepless nights, yes, but I think everything paid off because of perseverance. In fact, they asked me in the interview that you're going from a bachelor's into a PhD. What makes you suitable for that, not anyone else? And my answer to that was perseverance. I am working already within a high research intense environment at King's in the Centre for Doctoral Training, where they're firing me with so much new things that I don't know, but I'm learning. I'm learning to stay resilient within that process. So from the very beginning, I had that dream and I made it come true today. And that's all because of that perseverance throughout my journey.
Absolutely. I mean, you also rejected offers from very prestigious universities. I mean, you were given the opportunity to pursue a master's at Imperial College London, one of the top-ranking universities globally. And you also received an offer to study medicine at Norwich Medical School. Again, I mean, these are dreams for many people. So perseverance seems to have not only paid off, but the message I think that I'm hearing from you is that that kind of perseverance, the kind of diligence that you have, really fighting for it, actually does pay off. Let me ask you this. I mean, the engineering aspect of it, biomedical engineering, it's not the kind of subject that props up quite often. If you ask your stereotypical household what kind of professions, they'll say accountancy, medicine, and law and that sort of thing. You rarely see somebody who pins it down to that sort of speciality. What made you interested in going to that particular niche? And then, of course, I appreciate that you always had that the dream that you spoke about, the cardiology aspect of it. But in terms of biomedical engineering, how did you come across that, and what took your interest?
So, as we know, medicine is always open for me. As you can see, I did get into medicine, and unfortunately, I did turn down Norwich Medical School this time round. And an aspect of that comes from the fact that I chose a subject where it opened doors for me on both sides. I can go into pure engineering, work with AI, but the main idea is I want to do something new, something that no one else has done before. As you said, the conventional routes are accounting and finance, medicine, but I thought, everyone can be a doctor. If I wanted to, I could have taken up that offer today and said, yes, I'm going to be a doctor in a couple of years' time. However, I decided to go through, let's say, a different unconventional route that brings something new to the table, something that maybe no one else has ever ventured out to see, where I'm making a solution for a clinical need rather than focusing on providing support for clinical needs. So I'm doing that in a different sense, and I believe that biomedical engineering provided me both doors to be opened, which is why I was able to apply for medicine and get in through the graduate route, also to go into Oxford and study within the research field of medicine. So it allowed me to open all doors, and then later on I can choose, which, as you've heard, I have chosen to go forward and study at Oxford. And one thing about it is, I think you mentioned turning down these offers. It hurts me quite a bit to say that, I worked really hard. My Imperial application was a lengthy one, and as you know, it's the top ranking university. So an aspect of that, it does hurt me, but as I said, my dream is now fulfilled. So although I did have the chance to now be a doctor, and that was a much harder process actually. So as a graduate student, when you're applying to medicine, if there's 200 seats at Norwich Medical School, only 10 are given to graduate students. So I'm fighting against not only the A-level students, but also my own graduate students. And it's much harder through a graduate student entry route. However, I made through that, and it's unfortunate to turn it down, but I know that there's something better I can do, in the sense that I can now go ahead and be involved in the clinical aspect and be a doctor, but I would never have that chance to sit at Oxford and say, today I'm going to do something new, which is, the people who created the coronavirus vaccine, the AstraZeneca, I'm working with them. So who knows, hopefully COVID doesn't come again, but if need be, I may be there working with them and making the new vaccine. So doing that kind of new thing that no one else has ever, looked out and ventured to do in the first place.
Sounds very exciting. I mean, the fact of the matter is that people from our community are having those visions is an absolute delight to see. And obviously, not only would our viewers be extremely proud of you, but you mentioned your parents. Now, I know that your father's an academic. I'm not entirely sure what particular discipline, but no doubt the family support was there. They understand the significance of education. But within our community, not everybody is fortunate as you as to have academics within the family. A lot of our viewers, even those who have gone to university, they started off with very modest beginnings, not necessarily an educated family background. What advice would you give to them? I appreciate you say perseverance and so on and so forth. And you had the encouragement of your parents. Some people are not so blessed within our community. What would you say to them? Because those ceilings that they face are higher and more solid. What would you say to them about the kind of initiative that's required? The fact that they didn't have parents who are from an academic background, but they nevertheless went and did it. I'm not suggesting that your parents' support was dispensable. What I'm suggesting is that the reality is that there are people watching out there, and you are an inspiration to them, a huge inspiration, because as you alluded, the kind of success that you have, really, we're talking about a probability that's extremely low, and that's amazing to see. Is there any message you'd give to our viewers, the young people who are watching this show, who don't have that particular inspiration, apart from people like yourselves?
First of all, for anyone watching this, I think I am blessed to have parents who supported me the entire way through. Now, having a father as an academic helped me to, I think, not in the academic sense, but it allowed me to see someone as an inspiration. So if people watching this take me as an inspiration, that's your first step. Find someone who's a role model and say, I want to be like them. Now, what's the process to get to I want to be like them? I would say, first of all, stepping stones. In order for me to even get to a PhD at Oxford, there were multiple other things I had to do first. Whether it was, first of all, I sat the 11 plus to get into a grammar school, and everything that I did at my grammar school, Southern High School for Girls, has shaped me in every single way. I have qualifications in public speaking, sports leaderships, and that's all because I focused on my time in that specific stepping stone. I looked and said, okay, currently I'm at my school, I need to focus on grabbing every opportunity that this school gives me so I can foster that in the future. And it did help me. Actually, in my Imperial application, I had to put down professional qualifications. And everything that I did at Southern High Grammar School for Girls was written on the application, and that's what got me in. So I do owe every bit of my success to them as well, but that's the first step for me. So I said between year 7 to year 10, focus is on extracurriculars, let's grab all those opportunities. Then came GCSEs, head down focused. At one point, I had to give away all the distractions, but I think that was necessary to build up to GCSEs and having that mindset. That was my next stepping stone. I got all 9s, straight 9s. Then came A-levels. Then my focus was on, okay, I need to write personal statement. I took that as my next stepping stone. That, okay, I need to make sure I've gathered enough interest, enough books, enough reading so that when it comes to interviews, I can face them properly. So that was my next stepping stone. On and on and on, I came to the point where it's now my degree, and I said every single exam I'm going to sit within this degree, I cannot just get a 70, I'm aiming for a 90 or above. Don't ever settle for less. I think that's one thing I'm going to say, that you may be the first in your family, but you definitely won't be the last if you start to aim for the highest there is. So I never wanted to get 70% and get it first. I ended up with an 80% overall. And that's because I never wanted to settle for just a 70 and, just scrape a first. So that's all because I tried my best to always aim for high. And then I kept going. And as you can see, I never settled for less. And I knew that I want to go to Oxford, and here I am today. So my best advice would be, take it stepping stone by stepping stone. You may be young, you may be watching this and you're in year 7. As I said, I focused on grabbing extracurriculars at that point. Then you may be in university and watching this. I would say, in that case, then you may focus on ensuring that those exams that you sit within university don't get a 70, aim for a 90, and you'll end up with at least a first at that point.
Yeah, that's great advice, incredibly so. We've got about a minute left. What's the vision? I hear cardiology. I mean, do you intend to practice as a cardiologist, or do you intend to go into research or academia? What's the vision?
So this kind of route provides me with anything. So what's good is in the next 3 years, I will be Dr. Shuchishmita, which is crazy to think about. But that means that I will be qualified in pretty much any area within medical sciences. So I can go through postdoc positions, go back to King's, visit them, and take up a position there, or stay at Oxford, become a professor, go into teaching at Oxford, and at the same time, I can simultaneously also, within Oxford, I can take up some more research projects and become a principal investigator within cardiology. And maybe I may be the next person who finds out something new and implements it in a vaccine or some sort of clinical trials. But watch out for my name on the news.
Well, absolutely. Watch out indeed. Shuchishmita, look, only for time reasons, I'm going to have to stop you. And it's great to hear your story, your journey, and we wish you the very best of success. You are indeed an inspiration, and long may you continue to do so.